Busan and immediately fell in love with the city. I love the food, the mild weather, the serene view of the mountains and the sea, and just how beautiful and peaceful the city is. I returned home a week later, only to find that I was homesick in my own home. And then I realized that deep in my heart, Busan was now my new home. I moved to Busan the following year, and I'm now working at the Tourism Promotion Organization for Asia Pacific Cities, TPO Secretariat in Busan. My future lies in Busan, and Busan is the future for us all. Global City Busan, we are in it together. This campaign is brought to you by befm Busan영어방송.
Welcome to Busan. Let me show you around. Here you can find the world's largest musical in-ground fountain and the world's only UN memorial cemetery. Stroll along the coast and explore the largest mountain fortress in Korea. As well as all this, there are so many tourist attractions, beautiful exhibitions, vibrant culture, convenient facilities, and delicious foods unique to Busan. With all the beauty and charm of the amazing city of Busan, you'll find yourself right at home in this ever-changing tourism paradise. So stay with us a while. Busan, your #1 tourist destination. Your home, away from home. This campaign is brought to you by befm, Busan영어방송.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
The second week of school has come and gone, and things are kind of getting, into the groove. But this semester has more changes than ever, with the government testing out new programs, including this 늘봄 childcare and school violence investigators across the country. These policies were implemented rather quickly and are going through their, testing phases, we'll call it, to be fine-tuned as they go. While such promptness is appreciated, there are concerns of a lack of preparedness and the teachers having to make up for this void. Speed is important to get momentum going, but we also have to consider how to do this right rather than just quickly. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Friday, March 15th on befm 부산영어방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well. Today is that day, the day we have been all really looking forward to. Friday. I don't know about you, but I really am enjoying or trying to enjoy my Fridays more because, yes, that school semester, the new semester has begun. So the second week of school has come and gone almost. We're on the last day of the second week. So this is the second ever week of the newly launched 늘봄 pilot program. So this program allows for schools to be the site of after-school childcare, with children able to stay in school up until 8 p.m. at the latest. The program was supposed to be implemented next year, but it began a year earlier, and there are some signs that show it could have used that extra year. According to reports, while in theory, children can stay at school until 8 p.m., some parents have been told that the after-school care classes were only available for 2 hours per day. And if this is applied to a first grader whose classes end a little after 12 p.m., that means someone still has to come pick them up after 2 p.m. Also, the program is not available at all schools. It's running in 44% of all 6,175 elementary schools across the country. But, even with the schools that have the program in place, they differ widely school to school. The key is whether the schools have hired dedicated after-school teachers or not. So that's kind of the big factor there. Because if that is not in place, who does the grunt work? It's the teachers who have to stay behind and operate and run these programs after their respective classes are done, or maybe even the vice principal, the 교감 선생님, filling in the gap. Things will likely get better with time, but in the meantime, there are those who will have to pick up the slack, and for their sake, hopefully, these programs, they get, that they'll settle down real soon. That is our main theme for today. Let's turn to our text topic for today. It's Friday, so another fun one. How about this? So tell me what you think. Do you take showers in the morning or at night? So that's question number one. Also, does your imagination run wild while you shower, or do you focus on the task at hand? Like if you're shampooing, you're thinking about, making sure that shampoo gets into every little crevice, that you're getting your hair super squeaky clean, or does your imagination run wild? 자, 여러분은 아침, 밤 중에 언제 샤워하시나요? 또 샤워할 때 이런저런 생각하시는 편인지, 아니면 아무 생각 없이 할 일만 하고 마무리한다. So tell me about your showering habits. Nothing too personal, right? Because this is a family show. But anyhow, you can send in your messages to BEFM's live stream, live chat on YouTube. Also, pound 9050, that's going to cost you 100 won. You can reach me for free on Kakao Talk or our app comment board. So as a reminder, yes, you can check out our program through our YouTube live in real time. You can also watch it again on that platform or on the Patbang application. All right, it is Friday, so what do we have for you? We have Casey coming in for Foreign Press Highlights. We also have Laura coming in later for News Feed and for a special interview. We're going to be covering, Fubao. Yes, Fubao. Well, actually, more specifically, the psychology of cuteness. Is there such a thing? Let's find out in hour number 2, and I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:06 on this Friday morning, and these are today's headlines. PPP and DP cancels nominations of lawmakers. The ruling People Power Party, or PPP, canceled the nomination of Representative Chung Woo-taek for next month's general elections after bribery allegations. Meanwhile, the main opposition, Democratic Party, or DP, canceled the nomination of an ex-DP lawmaker over his past remarks ridiculing South Korean soldiers who lost their legs in an explosion. Government rolls out negotiations on plan to hike medical students. The health ministry yesterday ruled out negotiations with the medical community over a plan to boost the number of medical students, reaffirming its hardline stance despite a prolonged walkout by junior doctors that has caused surgery cancellations or delays at major hospitals for nearly 4 weeks. Top office dismisses calls to withdraw Ambassador Yi's appointment. An official at the top office told news agencies yesterday that there is no possibility Yi Jong-sep's appointment will be withdrawn, adding that the move would be improper. SpaceX's Starship reaches new heights in test flight but lost on re-entry. A SpaceX Starship rocket launched on its third test flight from the Starbase facility in Boca Chica, Texas, and achieved multiple milestones Thursday morning local time before likely breaking apart. Israeli strike kills 6 Gazans awaiting aid. Palestinians were rushing to get aid supplies at the Kuwait roundabout in northern Gaza City late on Wednesday evening local time, according to Palestinian officials, when Israeli forces struck the area. And these are today's headlines. Everybody, it is now time to check in with Annie. She is in this studio, and we are now ready for Busan updates. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's Friday, our favorite day. we need to have a song, a jingle out there, because it is indeed. I've been so looking forward to today. Anyhow, before we get into our updates, showering, I guess, factors or habits. So first of all, are you a morning shower kind of gal or a night shower? Or I don't know, some people do like twice in one day. Yes?
No, I'm in my entire life, I've lived as a nighttime shower. I just find it more convenient. I have a thick hair. So if I shower in the morning, it'll never dry. And I'm not drying it with a dryer.
And like while you're showering, do you sing? What do you do? Or are you thinking about something else, or thinking about your day, like how it went, or maybe just really concentrating on, getting...
I was thinking about this actually.
Yes.
Because I used to be like the imaginative type where I'm like thinking of all sorts of scenarios. I think nowadays I just need to get my shower done, and just get out and relax.
Oh, you need to be effective.
Yeah, I think that's what I've changed.
I see. Well, thanks for sharing. All right, for our first update, Busan is currently at the center of the two major parties' campaign activities, right?
Yes. So yesterday, People Power Party leader Han Dong-hoon visited Busan and specifically focused on the Nakdong River Belt. So this is the part of Busan where there is a stronger left-leaning support base. So his focus was on getting the moderate votes out. And Han visited Gupo and Gwaejeong traditional markets and kind of garnered support for the PPP candidates out there. In the Bukap district, PPP's fifth-term lawmaker Seo Byung-soo is running against incumbent Jeon Jae-soo. And then in Sahakap, former Busan City Vice Mayor for Economic Affairs Lee Sung-kwon is running against DP incumbent Choi In-ho. They're both expected to be tight races.
Yes.
And the party's plan is to have Han's visit stir a wave of support.
I see. And then today, the DP chair is following up on this visit, right?
Right. So Chair Lee Jae-myung is visiting Busan today. His choices are also traditional markets in these battleground areas. And he's going to Gijang Traditional Market and then Dangam Traditional Market. So in Gijang, the party's head of the local chapter, Choi Taek-yong, is running against PPP incumbent Jeong Dong-man. And then in Busan Jingap, the party's Busan chapter committee member Seo In-suk is running against PPP candidate Jeong Sung-guk.
I see. So that's what's happening with the political front. Next, the number of single-person households, it's been on the rise in Busan. If we can take a look at the breakdown of these households.
Right. So there's quite a big age difference in single-person households depending on where in the city you are. So according to Busan City, as of 2022, 35.3% of all local households were single-person households. And this is a 1.3 point increase compared to the previous year and a 6.6 point jump from 2017. In terms of districts, 51% of Junggu's households were single person.
Sure.
Followed by Donggu and Seogu at 40%. And then Gangseogu actually had the lowest proportion at 28%.
Well, what about the age distribution?
Right. In terms of the youngest single-person households, Busanjin and Geumjeong were followed by Suyong, Gangseo, and Namgu.
Okay.
These regions have either universities or a high ratio of jobs. And then on the contrary, the original city center, as we always talk about, had a high ratio of elder households. So based on this data, Busan City said it is going to run single-person household support projects across these 16 different municipalities. And this would include accompanied visits to the hospitals, post-hospitalization care, CCTV, and other security measures, as well as the lonely death prevention measures.
Ah, so important. All right. Well, thanks for letting us know about the demographics of single-person households here in Busan. All right. Let's move on and talk about this construction project that's been in the talks for like a decade. Apparently, it's finally getting started.
Yes, good news, actually.
Yes.
So this would be the Cinema Center underpass. The Cinema Center has been stuck in this island surrounded by major roads despite being right in front of Suyeong River. But if this road is put underground, the entire area would transform into a giant park or something like a square for the public. Busan City announced that it is holding a construction technical assessment committee next month. And this is the last step in the outside contract research. After this, construction would break ground within the first half of the month.
Yes.
And the goal is to put the roads underground by 2026 with a budget of 49.7 billion won.
Ah, yes. So that is what's going on there. But we also want to know what led to this kind of a rapid shift in development.
Well, while talks have been ongoing since the Cinema Center opened in 2011, public opinion and conditions began to change just a few years ago. The Mandok-Sentum Expressway will open in 2026, and the Suyeong River Walking Bridge will open in 2025, which gives reason for the area to be more pedestrian-friendly.
Yes, indeed. So finally happening, it seems. All right, lastly, this is for pet owners who are looking to better socialize their dogs.
I definitely need this. Busan City is working with pet organizations to expand pet etiquette and pet awareness. While there is no education or training required for people to be pet owners, 91% of pet owners say that such classes should be made mandatory.
Ooh.
Countries like Germany have these mandatory classes that build bonds between the human and the dogs and help the dogs get integrated into society.
I like that idea. Yeah, so tell us more about these classes.
Right, well, Busan City is running these public education classes for pet owners and pet care from April 11th to May 11th. And the classes are free and open to any pet owners living here in Busan, as well as prospective pet owners. Classes take place every week for 5 weeks and run for 4 hours at a time at Chongmyeong University. You can stick through it. Classes include how to understand your pet, socialization classes, health and hygiene, legal lessons, and also how to make food for your pets. So if you want to apply, you can do that through petedu, petedu.busan.com.
I love classes like this.
It's so cute.
Yes. Well, thank you, Annie, for the updates. And we'll check in with you with traffic and weather in just a little bit. Now it's time for you, the listeners, once again. So right now we are talking about showers today. So do you shower at night or in the morning? Do you have a preference? I think most people kind of have like a routine or a pattern. And also, when you shower, are you like, do you have the music on, maybe on your phone, you're singing along, or are you really concentrating on getting clean and getting out of there as quickly as possible? And, some people in my family, I won't out you by calling you out, but you take too long of a shower, like 20 minutes to me, that's like an eternity. I'm in and out of there. But let me know about your 여러분의 아침, 밤 중에 언제 샤워하시는지, 그리고 샤워할 때 이런 저런 생각하시는지 아니면 아무 생각 없이 빨리 샤워하고 나오시는지. Anyhow, here is Annie back with the traffic and weather.
Good morning, everyone. Here is your traffic and weather for the first hour. Just before 7 a.m., there was a two-way car collision on Busan that's near Haedong intersection, which is causing a bit of congestion in the area, so do keep that in mind. There's also congestion on Jungangdaero from Sojangcheon Junction to Bugok intersection. And likewise, it's also backed up from Mandok intersection to Name Expressway, heading toward Nakdong Bridge. And lastly, it is also backed up on Dongso Overpass, heading out of the city near Bumnekor Interchange. So please drive safe this Friday morning. If we switch over to the weather, we have yet another sunny day ahead with current temperatures averaging 9 degrees Celsius and afternoon highs hitting up to 19 degrees Celsius today. And skies will be clear without a hint of a cloud, although it will be a little dry today. But if we look ahead to the weekend, the sunny skies will unfortunately not last too long as clouds are expected to roll in Saturday afternoon. The overcast skies will remain through to Sunday, but a bright side is that the early spring temperatures will continue with highs of 18 degrees Celsius on both days. That's all for now. See you in the second hour.
Check this out.
This is Morning Wave Busan.
Everybody, wait a minute.
This is Morning Wave.
Morning Wave.
You are listening to
Morning Wave.
Morning Wave in Busan.
What show is this?
This is Morning Wave in Busan.
Here we go. Morning Wave in Busan.
It's time for News Digest. We have Haley. Oh, you look so lovely today.
Oh, thank you. Thank
yes,
you.
It's Friday.
It is Friday.
I've been so looking forward to it. It's been a long
The
week.
sigh was real.
It was so real because, like, I love school. I really do. I love teaching. It's just like, getting back into the grind. Oh, I felt it this week.
It takes a while.
It does to get used to it. I'm acclimating. I'm almost there. Anyhow, before we get into our news, I do want to ask you if you are a nighttime shower or you're kind of a morning type of gal. What are you?
If I'm gonna be completely honest, and it's like, and this platform is for me to basically out how gross I am all the time, and I feel like our listeners are sick of hearing that.
No.
I like make it my goal to not shower. I'm so sorry, not shower like every 24 hours. I have dry hair. I have very curly hair that I have to get chemically straightened, and I'm also just a lazy person, so I shower every day and a half. So I like make it a point to shower every like 36 hours. I don't smell, I don't think. I don't know. Like
She
that, for
doesn't.
that you'll have to ask my coworkers.
No, she
like
does
in
not smell.
private. But yeah, so every other day I shower in the morning, and then the following day I'll shower at night. And
no, I get
and then
it.
like a day and a half
I
later,
so get
I'll
you.
shower the morning after that day. So I alternate. And usually in the shower, I'm thinking about what a chore this is. Like, why does
showering?
humanity have to? Yeah.
Why do we have to shower?
How cleanliness is a chore.
No, I get you because for like the hair issue.
Yeah.
It's my hair person, my stylist. She always tells me, she's like, your hair's too dry, so don't wash your hair every day. She's like, do it every 3 days. I was like, I don't know about the 3 days.
Oh
so
my
I do
God,
no,
3
no,
days.
no. So I do it every other day for the hair.
Right.
But I do shower. I wash my
Oh,
body.
I do wash my
every
body
day.
like
every day.
I mean, after I come back from run or the gym, I do wash because
of course.
that's also gross.
Yeah, but I tie up my
Yeah.
hair. And
Exactly. I use a
we
clip.
get each other.
Yeah.
Yes. We're not dirty, we swear. All right, let's get into our news for today. We're going to take a look at the government's medical reform measures. What is going on?
Right. So the government is still very much set on the figure of 2,000 in terms of adding that to the medical school quota, and they're working on the details right now. So the plan as it stands is to distribute about 20% of the additional quota in the capital area, and the rest of it, the remaining 80%, across the provincial regions. So really the key is to hone in on increasing the competitiveness of the central regional university hospitals.
Right.
For instance, that would be Busan National University Hospital here, and to expand the quota also for smaller medical schools. And ultimately, the goal is to raise the level of these central regional hospitals to the Seoul's Big Five hospitals.
Right.
And for that, as a part of this, the government will also establish a separate medical insurance coverage rate for these regional hospitals for financial competitiveness. And finally, it'll look into establishing a regional medical development fund, as well as boosting clinical research and education and R&D research and development funding as well.
Yes, and as this is going on, the trainee doctors walkout still ongoing with now a legal dispute over the return to work order.
Right, and the International Labor Organization may get involved in this. So the Korea Interns and Residents Association, KIRA, and the government, there are two different opinions on whether the government's return to work order is legal or not, whether the government is basically forcing the doctors to work or not.
Okay.
And KIRA has asked for the International Labor Organization, or the ILO, for an intervention. So KIRA says that under the ILO convention, to which South Korea is a party, they ratified it in 2021, it bans all forms of forced labor, and which the doctors deem the return to work as a form.
Yes.
Under Article 2, Section 1 of the convention, it defines forced labor as all work or service which is exacted from any person under the threat of a penalty and for which the person has not offered him or herself voluntarily. So if we're taking that context literally, the government did issue an order for the doctors to return to work, and they don't want to. So you may wonder, well, by definition, not taking anyone's side. However, there is an exception in cases where there are concerns of risks to the survival or well-being of all or parts of the citizens.
Okay.
And one could also then argue, well, medical services, especially essential medical services, would fall into this exception.
Right.
So that's why the two sides are divided. So we'll see if the ILO decides to take up this intervention and what their rulings are.
Ah, yes, of course. That's one of the top stories still. Moving on, though, we've been reporting on multiple fishing boat accidents in the southern seas. And actually, spring is apparently a very dangerous season for vessels.
Right. So I have the news alerts for domestic news, and we just keep on getting these fishing boat capsizes and deaths and missing persons reports.
Right.
And so in the month of March alone, and we're barely halfway through, we've seen 3 boat capsizes, which has resulted in at least 8 deaths and 6 people missing. And that's the latest from yesterday morning. And according to the fisheries authorities, they say that this time, the late winter to early spring period, is when things get most risky over the seas.
Yes.
This is when weather conditions are unpredictable, especially over the waters, with sudden fog or gusts of wind, high seas, and waves. And then on top of this, we're seeing more vessels on the sea because the weather is warming up, so it's peak fishing season. However, these accidents over the water, they take a longer time to investigate than land-based ones because water does have a tendency to wash away evidence, and they do often go unresolved.
Yes.
So ultimately, the best prevention measure is for the vessels to follow safety regulations. However, unfortunately, that is not the case, especially when your livelihood depends on going out to the sea.
That's right.
So there was that boat capsized from Jeju that led to 2 deaths and 1 missing person. Was this case of where there were clear safety regulations in place that were likely not followed? Because at the time, the waters around Jeju were under a high seas alert, and waves were going as high as 5 meters tall. Wow. However, according to the Jeju Coast Guard, it's not just this case. In the last 3 years, there were 52 boat accidents around the waters of Jeju. And there were 52 cases that happened during high sea weather alerts. So these cases likely didn't follow. So some types of fishing boats or fishing is said to yield better results during high seas when the waves are high and the nets are easier to cast. However, once again, nothing trumps safety and human life. And of course your livelihoods are important, but you need to be living in order for you to make that livelihood.
Absolutely. So sad to hear about such a high number of these accidents. All right, lastly, we're going to go to the U.S. where this controversial TikTok ban is under consideration by Congress.
Right, so we've been covering that in news highlights, but to delve into why it's such a big issue, and I think also for some Korean listeners, even why TikTok itself is such a big deal.
Yes.
So the U.S. House of Representatives, the lower part of Congress, passed a bill that would ban TikTok if its parent company doesn't sell its controlling stakes in the span of 6 months. And it, of course, needs to still clear the Senate and be signed into law by the president. However, it goes back to the fundamental concerns that basically pops up periodically that American lawmakers have had about China's influence over TikTok, which, by the way, TikTok is one of the most popular, if not the most popular platforms, especially for younger Americans.
That's right.
So Chinese company ByteDance owns TikTok, and ByteDance is a Beijing firm that's registered in the Cayman Islands, and it has offices across the European Union and the United States. But there are always concerns that Chinese companies are subject to Beijing's national security law, which requires them to share data with the government if the government requests it.
Sure.
So while the company has reassured regulators that the U.S. user's data is protected from its employees in China, recently a Wall Street Journal investigation found that the system still has holes. So the bill basically says that unless ByteDance sells its shares, TikTok would be banned from all U.S. app stores in the span of 6 months.
Yes, yes. So what are the chances of this passing the Senate?
Right. So in the House, it passed. It was almost unilaterally supported. 352 yays to 65 nays.
Yes.
But in the Senate, it is unclear because the Senate is narrowly controlled by Republicans, and their presidential candidate, Donald Trump, is against the bill. Although that's interesting because he was for the ban when he was president.
I know. I remember. We talked about it.
Yeah, that was a bit of a flip. Well, and it's also very political because it is election season, and you really don't want to be the person, the lawmaker who banned TikTok when you're trying to court younger votes.
Oh, no.
Because they're not going to take upon it too kindly.
They're not going to vote for you.
No.
They're not.
Which
Yes.
brings us to the issue. So why is it a big deal? Why is it
Yeah.
such a big deal amongst younger voters? Well, 170 million Americans are on the app, and most of them are young. And just its business influence over the whole kind of prevalence of short form videos, you can argue it stems from TikTok, and that's kind of one of the originators.
Sure.
And they claim that it's not only a platform for social connection and entertainment, but also livelihood. I mean, TikToker is a legitimate
It's a job.
It's a job. It is a
career.
very lucrative job for many
Yes.
people. So
Yes.
some TikTokers, these influencers, have been on a campaign to call their representatives to encourage them to vote no on the bill.
Well, thanks for explaining the details of what's going on there. And we'll check in with you in hour number 2 for Issue Wagga Wagga. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right. And now it's time for a little song break. How about this one? Something in the Way You Move by Ellie Goulding.
It's the strangest feeling this way for you. There's something in the way you move, something in the way you move. With you I'm never healing, it's heartache through and through. There's something in the way you move, I don't know what it is you do. Now I'm wanting your body, good enough for me. But this heart is open, blood stain on the scene. When our eyes meet, I can only see the end. But tonight I'm here, yours again. But tonight I'm gonna lose it all. Playing with fire, I was the first to fall. Heart is sinking like a cannonball. Baby, kill it, what you waiting for? Something the way you move, something the way you do it, something the way you move. Something the way you move, something the way you do it, something the way you move. There's an evil night and the stars don't shine tonight. Something the way you do, something the way you push me closer, further, bring me just enough. Your lies always seem so true. There's nothing left for me to lose. There's no one thing I can do to change your ways, but I can't sit back and take the lonely days. When our eyes meet, I can only see the end. And tonight the rain falls again. But tonight I'm gonna lose it all. Playing with fire, I was the first to fall. Heart is sinking like a cannonball. Baby, kill it, what you waiting for? Something the way you move, something the way you do it, something the way you move. Something the way you move, something the way you do it, something the way you move. But tonight I'm gonna lose it all. Playing with fire, I was the first to fall. Heart is sinking like a cannonball. Baby, kill it, what you waiting for? Something the way you move, something the way you do it, something the way you move. Something the way you move, something the way you do it, something the way you move. Something the way you move, something the way you do it, something the
Welcome back, everybody. It's now 7:33 on this beautiful Friday morning. And so today we're looking at some of the changes in schools starting this year. And now let's talk about the school violence investigator thing. So this system came out after various scandals involving school violence and teachers' rights violations came to the forefront. Starting the school year, when there is a school violence case that's lodged, an investigator will be charged to look into the case. One of the key aims of the system is to ease the burden on teachers in taking care of these cases, which is something teachers' organizations had consistently called for. But even with the investigators in place, teachers still have to do quite a bit of paperwork and sit in during student questioning, which doesn't necessarily lead to lighter workload. And on top of that, there are concerns that the system overspends administrative and financial resources as the investigator has to take care of even the lightest or smallest of cases as well. Also, on the fundamental level, some questions whether having a retired police officer take care of these issues would add understanding and consideration to the issue, or whether this might lead to strengthened punishment. I'm not quite sure. So the jury's still out on that one, as they say. But for now, let's turn to our text topic. It's pretty interesting, I think, and I want to get a take from you. Do you take showers in the morning or at night? Also, does your imagination run wild? You know, while you shower, are you thinking of other things? Are you in La La Land? Or do you just focus on the task at hand, meaning get in, get out? 자, 여러분은 아침 혹은 밤 중에 언제 샤워하시나요? 그리고 샤워하실 때 이런저런 생각하고, 아니 뭐 하세요? 샤워하면서? like, 무슨 생각하세요? 아니면 그냥 별 생각 없이 빨리빨리 닦고 씻고 나와야 되겠다. So, which one are you? Let's get to some of your responses. So, let's see. Looking at the board, we have, I'm trying to see. Umberto says, yes, nighttime shower. Makes sense. JB waiver, to save water resources, I take a body shower at night and a hair shower before going to work. Oh, so you divide it. Well, that's an interesting one. So you go. Leslie says, nighttime shower before sleep so that you are not bringing outside germs and dirt and sweat from your day into your bed. Ooh, okay. Let's see. One more. Let's see. Oh, what was the one about the... I think it was a guy. Oh, I will find the funny one. Oh, here it is. June 1. June 1 waiver says, it's a guy's shower routine at night. Checking out how good looking I am and singing. I love that. You're so honest. So you check out, ooh, I'm good looking. Oh, look at my muscles. Is that what you do? Well, anyhow, I don't know if you're kidding or not, but thank you for your message. I will read more of your messages in just a little bit, but I'll be back with your hot clip for now. Today's hot clip is featuring a person named Paul Alexander. And you might know him as Polio Paul. That's what he's known as. I did not name him. You might also know him as the man with the iron lung or something along those lines. But anyhow, Paul Alexander spent a lifetime basically with polio. And he actually lived in something called an iron lung and defied expectations, though, by becoming a lawyer and etc. So let's listen to the clip from ABC News.
This week, after achieving what few imagined would have been possible, tonight.
For 72 years, Paul Alexander lived most of his life in and out of an iron lung. He contracted the polio virus when he was 6 and lost the ability to breathe on his own. A cylinder that encased his body created the air pressure that forced air into and out of his lungs, a cumbersome mechanical lifesaver. But that did not stop Paul from having a remarkable life. He earned a law degree from UT Austin, wrote a book about his life, and built a big following on social media. Paul inspired people around the globe and was seen by millions in regular TikTok videos. Paul eventually taught himself to breathe on his own for a few hours a day and could leave the machine, only to return when it became difficult to draw a breath. He had been a member of a generation of mostly children stricken with polio, a virus that struck fear in parents everywhere. In 1952, during the worst polio outbreak in U.S. history, 57,000 people were infected, 21,000 were paralyzed, and 3,000 died, most of them children. Scientists eventually found a vaccine. To offer reassurance that it was safe, publicity pictures showed singer Elvis Presley getting one of the first shots. By 1979, polio had been officially eradicated in the U.S., only to return in 2022, when the CDC reported new cases had started showing up in the U.S. Paul passed away this week in a Dallas hospital after contracting COVID-19.
You know, I actually saw stories about him even before his passing. And by the way, of course, rest in peace. But the fact that he endured for all these decades, and you saw, for those of you who are viewing through our YouTube channel, you saw that tank that he actually had to spend most of his life in. But he was so productive in life. He got his law degree, was a successful lawyer, and lived life to its fullest. So yes, of course, sad about the passing, but he lived a really good and full life nonetheless. And I think it's really inspiring on this Friday morning. This was your hot clip for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
All right, everybody, we have your favorite Friday guy, Casey.
Oh, nice intro.
Yeah, you're the only guy. I was kidding.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, to be the favorite of the onlys, that's still good.
No, you're definitely one of our fan favorites, our listeners' favorites. That's for sure.
Thank you so much.
So how's your week been?
It's been a wonderful week. I find myself addicted to peanut butter and chocolate cookies. It's just been one of those kind of weeks where you
Peanut butter. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Somebody dropped off some gifts.
I got a hold of some cookies and
Oh,
yeah,
really?
so
I haven't even opened mine yet because I'm like saving them. And
don't save.
Really?
Don't save.
Because people keep on trying, in my family keep on trying to open it. I'm like, no, haven't even opened the box. Chill.
Save money, not cookies.
Yeah, no. I'm saving them for this weekend. Where I'm going to enjoy my Thin Mints.
Are you going to share?
I'm going to have to.
Ah, bummer. I'm so
like,
greedy. I'm like, get out of here, kids.
You're like, no cookies for you.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, camera, sorry.
Oh, no, good. I'm okay without it. No. Please.
JB, he's like the director. He's like, camera. I saw the message. Thank you, JB.
Cool.
I had it ready and I forgot to press it. I was talking by myself.
That's
Casey's
all right.
here. I was not talking to myself.
That's all right.
Anyhow, so for our text topic, today we're talking about showers.
Oh.
We're getting real personal.
I'm sorry. I was running late today.
No.
Okay, this is a long-winded way to ask. I did. All right. I was a little late.
Not like that.
Okay.
My question for you is, are you the type of person who takes a shower at night or in the morning?
Usually morning.
Usually morning. And while you're taking your shower,
yeah.
Are you like, while you're shampooing?
Not wearing clothes. I said, I'm
No.
sorry.
Okay, so are you like, does your mind wander? Are you thinking and fantasizing? Like whatever a listener says, I check out my body and like I'm like checking my handsome self out. Or are you just like, I'm in, I'm out?
Yes. Yeah,
yes
I mean,
to
I'm
which
out.
one?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if I have time.
You don't dance in the shower?
No, I wish I had time for that.
You're
I
not
find
doing your Beyonce?
No.
Sure, no Beyonce?
No. No, I got no time for that. I'm sorry, Beyonce. I got no time for you.
So in and out.
Yeah, it's like I think I've gotten it down to like a 3-minute shower as possible.
How do you take a shower? 3 minutes?
Well, the hair doesn't take much time, so
True.
can go right through that.
I try not to laugh, but I couldn't. All right.
That's all right.
Let's dive into our first story. What's it about? Where is it from?
This is like the most interesting article I've
Yes.
read in a while, and I don't know. Well, no, I do. I think I do know why it came out this week. Have you ever heard of Daesung Freedom Village?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
What is this?
It's the headline kind of says it all.
Yes.
The hidden village just meters from North Korea. And this is from the BBC. And it's one of kind of their longer featured articles. So there's a lot of really cool pictures. But I just kind of want to give you exactly from the article what they say. To reach Freedom Village, known in Korean as Daesung, which is actually Daesung, right? We have to pass through several checkpoints. From there, we drive north beyond rows of armored tanks until the land opens out to reveal dozens of golden rice fields and a small cluster of homes. There are no restaurants, medical facilities, nor a single shop. And the villagers, many now in their 80s and 90s, live under the guard of more than 800 soldiers. Does that sound like freedom to you? The name is Freedom Village.
It's like kind of an oxymoron. Like, doesn't really make sense because it says Freedom Village, but you're surrounded by like 800 soldiers.
Yes, probably more soldiers than villagers almost by this point.
So why is it called Freedom Village then?
Well, okay, so it's the only South Korean village in the DMZ, the demilitarized zone. And so the idea was when they created the DMZ in 1953, right? So they had to clear out hundreds of villages, and that forced thousands of people from their homes.
Sure.
They decided we're going to let 2 villages remain. Freedom Village, which is on the south side, and then Peace Village, which is on the north side. And the idea was, if we keep these 2 villages here, this is kind of a signal that this DMZ is temporary and one day the whole of Korea would be reunited. So there's still, youngish
in
people.
theory.
Yeah, in theory, right. That was the idea. So there's a young family they feature in the article, and the mom, her name is Mi-sun. She lives there with her husband, Kyung-ho. They have 2 young children.
Yes.
And again, directly from the article, Mi-sun recalls the eventful day last year when the U.S. soldier Travis King ran across the border from South Korea into the north.
That was a big story.
Yeah. So he was on a tour of the DMZ. Her children were immediately sent home from school, and all the residents were put under lockdown. And she was quoted as saying in the article, well, things like this happen every few years, and I'm reminded I'm living in this kind of village. So
Yes.
Not so free.
I'm curious, so like normally, is it always this tense?
Well, it is, those 800 soldiers that are there. So
Do you become accustomed to that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they have like a nightly check. So they'll go and knock on everybody's door.
Just to make sure?
Make sure everybody's where they should be. They said, you're not supposed to leave the village after 7 p.m., you can't even go outside after midnight outside your house.
There's like a curfew.
Yeah, there's a curfew. And they say it's a courtesy knock because there's so many cameras there, they know where everybody is. Oh my God. So it's just to be like a little more human-like.
Like, it's like Big Brother-ish, like with so many cameras.
For sure.
And they know everybody there that you're accounted for.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's actually the village is run by the United Nations Command. So it's led by the U.S., but it's actually got soldiers from a dozen countries. And the head of it is the U.S. Lieutenant Colonel Chris Mercado. And he says the village is not dangerous day to day, but the risk is incredibly high. There is nowhere like this anywhere else in the world. I thought it was a good quote.
Well, why would people want to live there? I'm just going to ask it.
Yeah. They did say like a lot of the people that are there now are older, and it's kind of the only place they've known. They either came up farming.
Their home.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is where we've always lived. Farming is what we know, so that's what we do. But interestingly, Mi-sun has a 10-year-old son.
Yes.
He says he wants to live there forever.
Why so?
He says one reason is it would exempt him from doing the mandatory military service.
Really?
So that's a benefit of living there. But his mom and dad hope that they leave someday. They want their kids to kind of travel and experience, the world beyond the village.
Oh, okay.
And his father says like it's asking a lot for young people to live here. And
it's like kind of I don't want to say, like, it's very secluded and
Yes.
it
reminds me of like an old Twilight Zone episode in a way when I read about it.
It's almost like the Truman Show. Like you're kind of there. Not I don't want to say trapped, but I'm just saying a little bit confined.
You're confined.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of restrictions.
Oh, yeah, right.
And they said there's actually only 6 students per class at the primary school, but the primary school is state of the art, as they say. So actually, most of the kids are actually bussed in from outside the DMZ.
Oh,
so
and
there's very few children there.
What other benefits are there?
They don't pay any taxes or rent, and there's also a lot of farmland. So they said, like, you know, if you grow a lot of crops, even if you can't sell it, the government will buy it from you.
Oh, if there's a surplus.
Right, exactly. So they're like, in a way, that's kind of a security net. But do you think that sounds like enough to make people want to live there?
Apparently, excuse me, for some people it's enough because there are people that live there. Personally, for me, just politely, no thank you. Yes.
Yeah, it would be tough to just be like every night, somebody's going to knock on your door and be like, are you here?
Yes,
it would be tough to get used to.
All right.
And that's actually an issue. They said they're actually looking at ways to persuade people to stay there because they don't want to give up on the project. According to the lieutenant colonel, he said, you know, if we let this village vanish because people are leaving, it's a big signal that South Korea has kind of given up on the idea of peace and reunification. Yeah.
Well, let's move on to our next story, but that's a fascinating read. Listeners, if you're interested, check it out, right?
Yeah, totally. There's a lot more information in there. Again, the headline is The Hidden Village Just Meters from North Korea. Really cool pictures, too.
Sure. All right.
Next, we've got, this is kind of, I wouldn't say this was like a huge story this week, but it was reported in a lot of places. I decided to go with the Japan Times version. South Korea, U.S. talk cost sharing as Seoul girds for Trump 2.0. So that's a very interestingly worded headline.
It's a loaded headline, yeah.
Yes. There have been more simple versions of that headline that I saw as well. I'm just going to give it to you straight from the article.
From the article, yes. Tell us.
Quote unquote, here we go. After Donald Trump clinched the Republican Party's presidential nomination, the possibility of the former U.S. president being returned to the White House has unnerved some countries, particularly allies troubled by his sometimes unpredictable and unilateral approach to foreign and defense policy.
Yes.
This includes South Korea.
Not Carolina.
No, that's
South Korea.
Headline for another reason.
Yes.
Which has heralded an unusually early start of defense cost-sharing talks with the U.S. Almost 2 years before the expiration of the current Special Measures Agreement, or SMA. And from the article, Tokyo will almost certainly be watching closely. So kind of ominous. Kind of ominous.
Why start so early?
Well, the idea is the agreement to start early on these kind of negotiations appears to reflect some concerns that Trump could perhaps, if he wins, have a hard bargain on the issue of cost sharing, which could potentially become a major bone of contention between the allies, quote unquote. Originally, this SMA was reviewed every 2 years to 6 years since 1991. And the SMA basically just means, like, how are South Korea and the United States going to split the bill for the 28,500 American troops that are stationed here? Washington's like, okay, we want you to pay for utilities. We want you to pay for South Korean workers. South Korea's like, okay, we'll pay this much for that. It's a back and forth. Suddenly, with the Trump presidency, it was not a back and forth. If you recall. I don't know if you recall that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yes.
It was one-sided.
Yes.
So, in a nutshell, should South Korea be concerned according to this article?
They talked to Naoko Aoki, who's an associate political scientist at the RAND Corp, who says the last round of negotiations between Washington and Seoul was particularly contentious, as then President Trump requested steep increases in South Korea's share of the cost.
Wasn't it like $5 billion?
Yeah, it was like 5 times. It was 5 times whatever it had been. It was a big number, and everybody's like, oh. And also, there were constant references from Trump to just possible U.S. troop withdrawals from South Korea that probably did not go over well in the Freedom Village we were previously talking about. There was also, general criticism about military alliances around the world, which also made tensions kind of high.
Yes.
So the idea is like, okay, well, Joe Biden is still the current president, so let's quickly start these negotiations because we don't know what's going to happen this November.
That's true. We only have a few months until the election in the
Right.
States, yes.
Which is, this article just kind of points out like how important that is to Korea.
It is.
And to Japan, because this is a
Right.
Japanese source of the article.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. People will be watching carefully what happens there.
Oh, of course. I mean, we have a vested interest, so we definitely will be watching and covering what happens stateside.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to call it a wrap already. So thank you. And somebody said, I think they said I crossed the line when I mentioned shampoo in your hair. Why? He mentioned it, not me.
Yes, I mentioned it. It's time saving.
Not I.
You know, back in high school, I used to
Yes.
spend time on my locks. I
Did
was
you
like,
have lots of hair?
oh, shoulder length at least.
Shoulder length, really?
At least.
Oh.
It was grunge back then.
All right,
The
you got to
grunge
show me
thing.
some pictures later, but yes.
Oh, that's terrible.
We're going to call it a wrap for today. Thank you so much, Casey. We'll check in with you next week. Have a good one.
You too. Have a great weekend. Enjoy
right.
those cookies.
I will. Everybody, that was Casey. Let me switch the camera back to me. It's time to close out hour number 1. We have more in hour number 2 for you, as usual, including our special interview. I love this. It's going to focus on Fubao and the psychology of cuteness. I love the idea. Here's our final song for hour number 1, Late Night Talking by Harry Styles.
Things haven't been quite the same. There's a haze on the horizon, babe. It's only been a couple of days and I miss you. Yeah. Nothing really goes to plan. You stub your toe or break your camera. I'll do everything I can to help you through. If you're feeling down, I just wanna make you happier, baby. Wish I was around, I just wanna make you happier, baby. We've been doing all this late night talking about anything you wanna till the morning. Now you're in my life. I can't get you off my mind. I've never been a fan of change, but I'd follow you to any place. If it's Hollywood or Bishopsgate, I'm coming too. If you're feeling down, I just wanna make you happier, baby. Wish I was around, I just wanna make you happier, baby. We've been doing all this late night talking about anything you wanna till the morning. Now you're in my life. I can't get you off my mind. Can't get you off my mind.
차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
보이스피싱에 눈을 뜨시오.
공양미를 대출해드릴 수 있을 것 같아요. 근데 수수료를 좀.
보이스피싱 전화 올 땐 전화 끊고 확인하기.
실장님의 계좌가 금융범죄에 연루되었습니다.
기관 사칭 사기 전화 112로 신고하기. 택배 주소 오류 사기, 인터넷 주소 클릭한대.
늘 의심하고 꼭 전화 끊고 또 확인하고.
보인다 보여.
수법이
보이는구나.
눈을 뜨면 예방책이 보입니다.
공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's morning.
And what a lovely morning.
Dynamic Busan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Hello, Chevy.
What show is this?
Hello.
Hello, baby.
Hey, buddy.
Hello, everybody.
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now 8 o'clock and this is news highlights. PPP and DP cancel nominations of lawmakers. The ruling People Power Party or PPP canceled the nomination of Representative Chung Woo-taek for next month's general elections after bribery allegations surfaced against him. Meanwhile, the main opposition Democratic Party or DP on Friday canceled the nomination of an ex-DP lawmaker over his past remarks ridiculing South Korean soldiers who lost their legs in a 2015 bloody landmine explosion, which stirred up criticism weeks before the April parliamentary elections. The two rivals are both looking for ways to win over the swing vote regions in the southwest of South Korea, namely Sejong and Daejeon cities and north and south Chungcheong provinces. However, it is still unclear who has the advantage in the area at the moment. Government rules out negotiations on plan to hike medical students. The health ministry yesterday ruled out negotiations with the medical community over a plan to boost the number of medical students, reaffirming its hardline stance despite a prolonged walkout by junior doctors that has caused surgery cancellations or delays at major hospitals for nearly 4 weeks. The labor action has shown signs of escalating as medical school professors threaten to submit resignations en masse unless the government presents a breakthrough in the prolonged walkout. The professors are expected to decide on whether to submit their resignations today. The labor action has particularly crippled services at 5 major general hospitals in Seoul as they heavily relied on trainee doctors. Top office dismisses calls to withdraw Ambassador Yi's appointment. An official at the top office told news agencies yesterday that there is no possibility that South Korean ambassador to Australia, Lee Jong-sub's appointment, will be withdrawn, adding that the move would be improper. Yi departed for Australia last Sunday, 2 days after the Justice Ministry lifted his travel ban, which was slapped on him in January over his alleged interference in a case related to the death of a Marine. Another official at the top office denied the opposition camp's claim that the office had intentionally sent Yi abroad so he could avoid investigations, adding that Yi had no intent to defy the investigation or to avoid questioning. SpaceX's Starship reaches new heights in test flight but lost on re-entry. A SpaceX Starship rocket launched on its third test flight from the Starbase facility in Boca Chica, Texas, and achieved multiple milestones Thursday morning local time before likely breaking apart. The deep space rocket system went through nearly an hour-long integrated flight test. The spacecraft was expected to splash down in the Indian Ocean at the conclusion of the flight, putting the vehicle in a position to move on to more complex test flights and eventually carry NASA astronauts to the moon's surface. But after re-entry, the team lost two key pieces of communication at the same time: contact with Starlink, SpaceX's internet service, and with a tracking and data relay satellite system. Israeli strike kills 6 Gazans awaiting aid, say Palestinian officials. Israeli bombardment killed 6 Palestinians and wounded dozens as crowds awaited aid trucks in Gaza City, Gaza Health Ministry officials said on Thursday local time. Palestinians were rushing to get aid supplies at the Kuwait roundabout in northern Gaza City late on Wednesday evening when Israeli forces struck the area. The Israeli military did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the incident. Meanwhile, a ship carrying aid is approaching Gaza in a pilot trial of maritime delivery that is expected to be followed up by a U.S. military effort to set up a dock on Gaza's coast that will enable distribution of up to 2 million meals a day. This was News Highlights. All right, everybody, we have Haley back in the studio. And no, I didn't forget the camera this time.
I'm here.
She's definitely, no,
you
not
can see me.
For Casey, for the first couple seconds, I forgot to switch the camera. It's, multitasking on a Friday.
And I like that
happens.
we have teamwork happening with our listeners saying camera, lights,
I know, action. Yes. Thanks for directing me, Jay Beaniam, once again. We're going to jump into our first issue. First, the past history of a KMA, or Korean Medical Association executive, is under scrutiny.
So we're talking about the head of public relations, or PR, for the KMA, Chu Soo-ho. He is currently under investigation for allegedly encouraging the trainee doctors to take collective action. However, in the course of this investigation and the subsequent reporting, it was found that he drove drunk in March of 2016, caused a fatal accident, so he killed someone. And for this was also interesting, sentenced to 1.5 years in prison with a 3-year probation. So he actually didn't go to jail for killing someone after driving drunk.
I know. Drunk driving. We have thoughts on that.
Right.
Knows, right?
And I mean, not that, any job gets an excuse, but especially given his occupation.
Exactly.
Yeah, so he was appearing at Seoul Police Station for his cell phone digital forensic, and he once again apologized to the deceased and the victim's family. However, he stated that, quote, there are times when those who don't have enough evidence to rationally criticize the message will attack the messenger, and how that's a cowardly thing to do. So he's apparently the messenger, and attacking him is a cowardly thing to do.
Okay.
He also stated that, used this metaphor, that it's not right to focus on the dirt underneath one's fingernails when the finger is pointing at the moon. So asking people to look at the bigger picture. And he added that the doctors are always ready to accept rational criticism or objections to their actions.
Once again, lots of hums because...
I think we can do both. I think we can rationally discuss the issue, but also question this particular
especially
case.
when it comes to drunk driving.
Right.
Oh, all right. So hence scrutiny, controversy. All right, next up, some soccer fans are upset about the lineup for the A match, the national, football team for Korea against Thailand next week. But despite this, tickets to the match sold out.
Right. So this so-called ping pong gate, table tennis gate, it continues. People are still upset. So Coach Hwang Sun-ong, he announced a lineup for the Thailand match, which included Lee Gang-in along Son Heung-min and Kim Min-jae. The usual lineup.
Yes.
So Lee, of course, has been facing backlash after the table tennis debacle during the Asian Cup. So this incited outrage from some soccer fans, even prompting a boycott of the match. However, despite this, the tickets to the match at the World Cup Stadium in Seoul sold out.
Right.
And the official fans, the Red Devils, 붉은 악마, they announced a statement that saying that the fan club exists to cheer on the national team.
Okay.
They say that the fault in this incident lies with the Football Association, and there is therefore no reason for the players to not receive the support they need on the ground.
Okay.
And also, we should add that Son Heung-min and Lee Gang-in did make up, and Son did ask the fans to forgive Lee.
Right. It was very, public apology.
Right.
And
But very public acceptance of the apology.
Yes, and they seem to have moved on.
Yeah.
But while we're on the topic of the KFA, there is now another round of accusations that some players and associations members gambled during the Asian Cup.
Played cards, but there was money. So apply the definition of gambling as you will.
Okay.
So the KFA confirmed that one employee of the association and a few players, although they did not name names, they played cards, and wagered money. And this was during the Asian Cup. And they apparently played, and the reason that I say the amount is kind of depending on the amount. It can be construed as just light gaming or gambling.
Okay.
They played 5,000 won per chip, and for one game, a player would lose about 50,000 won, so like 5만 won per game. We don't know how many games they played. So they did not identify the players once again, but the KFA, based on the amount, deemed that it was, quote, just a game, and they don't see it as gambling.
Okay.
However, it was against the rules for the KFA employee to enter the athlete's break room and play cards with them, so this particular employee has been dismissed. So this prompted another round of anger and criticism from the fans, calling on the KFA to disclose the names of the players that were playing the card game, also for the chair to step down and reform the organizations. Others also questioned why the KFA has been so quick to release such information about players' actions and wrongdoing.
Right.
Even going back to the table tennis case when they weren't really doing that before, and ask whether they're trying to divert attention from something else.
There's a lot of discontent.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that right now.
Right.
Next, this viral post shows what not to do when living in an apartment. So what are we talking about?
So this is from a delivery worker who posted talked about a home where it smells like something's rotting every time. That was the title of the post.
Okay.
And every time that he's gone to his apartment unit for delivery, he said he smelled something rotten, and he finally found the reason. So in every apartment on the floor, on each floor, there's this wall space for the fire hydrant.
Yes.
That space was filled with food and food waste. So they were using it as a storage space before taking the trash out. So the picture he posted online, it shows a space filled with like fruit boxes, plastic bags, and the actual fire hose is buried underneath the pile of boxes.
Well, what are you going to do if there's a real fire?
Dig through the boxes, I suppose. So, I mean, obviously this person or the household was not thinking things through. So, of course, under the fire code, if you pile on objects around fire extinguishers or do anything to hinder the fire extinguishing efforts, that's actually a finable offense.
Yes.
And I mean, recently, our apartment, we've been like cracking down on the fire code, and we have the metal doors that lead to the staircase shut at all times because it's supposed to block out the
It's a fire
smoke.
door.
Right, it's a fire door.
Yeah.
Is the entry area really dark at all times and a little depressing? Yes. But would I rather have that than smoke coming through?
Of course.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, fire codes are there for a reason.
Yes. So that's also to check ourselves too. Make
Right,
sure,
right.
like, you're not supposed to be storing stuff in certain areas.
I know it's convenient, and I
But
know
it's
that
not-
like
it's a no-no.
the little wall, the fire extinguisher closet is convenient place to store like your parcel deliveries too. And I know it's so easy to like pile on recycling in front of your door,
Please
but
don't.
think about in case of emergencies.
Yes.
Although that stuff can be kindling.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So that's why I'm saying safety is of utmost concern. Well, let's talk about our final issue. It's a controversy. Okay, controversy with tips in the U.S. Like, especially the restaurant industry. We've
and
been
like
talking about it.
kiosks and tips and like, who
Like,
am I
why-
tipping?
I know. Who are you tipping? I should be tipping myself, right?
Right.
But now there's a new controversy brewing, and it's regarding cancellation fees. What is this about?
So this is according to the New York Times report, which says more and more restaurants are imposing no-show fees or cancellation penalties. I mean, it's common. It's reasonable. I've definitely had to pay like a deposit to make sure that I wouldn't cancel.
Sure.
But some cases, it's iffy and it's expensive. So the Times interviewed an engineer in New York who canceled his reservation, at least according to this person,
yes,
23 and a half hours before. So I'm assuming the free cancel period was 24 hours, perhaps, because his son was hospitalized. So this restaurant, which is a Michelin-starred restaurant, was very
Yes.
sympathetic, but they still charged him $200 for canceling.
That's not sympathy.
That's, well, I mean, I guess sympathy and financial things
Are
We're so
separate?
sorry, but cough
Oh,
up.
so sorry, but
Yeah, I hope your son feels better, but you have to pay us $200.
Wow.
So according to the Times, 17% of U.S. restaurants on the platform on the reservation platform charged cancellation fees. And that fee can range from as little as $10 to more than $50 if it's a high-end, like a Michelin-starred restaurant. $200. But it's also more common in larger cities. A quarter of restaurants in New York City now charge cancellation fees.
Yes.
And of course, reservation apps technology, it makes it easier because we do have to input our credit card information or pay a deposit, so it gets easier to charge. Of course, don't be a no-show, but also if there are legitimate reasons like health, hospitalization.
I kind of see both sides because,
Yeah.
I mean, restaurants are for-profit businesses.
Right.
On the other hand, I don't know, $200 for canceling, that's a little much.
Yeah, and it's also like goes to goodwill kind of a thing. I mean, if you want to like foster regulars, do you really want to be that cut and dry?
Like if there was like a real emergency, like personally.
Right.
And like I really couldn't help it, but I by the way, I don't cancel on restaurants
Right,
unless
right.
like there's an emergency.
Yeah.
Like a family physical medical emergency in this case. Then, you know, it's like if somebody charged me $200 for canceling, I would not go back.
Oh no.
I'm just saying, goodwill goes a long way. Well, anyhow, thanks for going over all the hot issues. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll check in with you on Monday.
Have a great weekend.
All right, everybody, this was Haley. And before we get into our updated traffic and weather, I got to read this message from Che Yundong Waver. Because yesterday was White Day. Everybody knows that, right? So she says, 남편이 어제 사탕 말고 젤리랑 초콜릿 줘서 제가 버럭했습니다. 화이트데이는 사탕이라고. 그리고 헬스장 갔다 오니 사탕이 있더라고요. So she says, yesterday was obviously White Day here in Korea, and her husband bought her some jelly and chocolate instead of hard candy. And then she said she was really upset at him. Oh, and then there was a follow-up message. She also said, 원래 버럭 잘 안 하는데 어제 주제가 결혼 때 어떤 프로포즈를 받았는지잖아요. 프로포즈도 못 받고 결혼했는데 화이트데이인데 사탕 안 주고 젤리 주니 버럭했어요. 사탕 받고 그 밤 사탕 먹으면서 남편에게 고맙다며 대화 많이 했네요. 결혼한 지 25년이 다 되어 가네요. So she was really upset because, we were talking about it was White Day, but we were talking about marriage proposals, right? And apparently he didn't really officially propose to her. So I guess she has had a chip on her shoulder for 25 years because she mentions they've been married for almost 25 years. So congrats on that. You've made it this far. So next time, hubby of Yunjung Waver, White Day, it's hard candy, not chocolate or jelly. I would be happy with whatever, though, So I got a little gift, too, but I'll just keep that to myself since it's a little personal. But anyhow, here is Annie. She is going to be in the studio with your traffic and weather as soon as I find the little button to switch it over. All right, so here she is.
Good morning again, everyone. It is currently 8. I'm going to wait for it. 18 a.m. Here's your update of weather and traffic. So unfortunately, there was another accident that's on Pansongno heading toward Seokdae intersection. So please do drive safe in that area. And there's a lot of traffic this Friday morning. Gwangan Bridge is backed up heading toward Namcheondong. That's before you hit Hyunsu Bridge in the first and second lane. So please be wary of that. There's also congestion on Jungangdaero from Chwacheon Junction to Busanjin subway station. So again, please drive safe, everyone. But if we switch over to the weather, current temperatures are averaging 10 degrees Celsius with afternoon highs going up to 20 degrees Celsius. I do apologize, I said 19 in the first hour. The skies will remain bright and sunny throughout the entire day as we inch toward spring. But for the weekend, we are looking at highs of 18 degrees Celsius on both Saturday and Sunday. But the skies are looking to be a bit overcast starting tomorrow afternoon. But that's all for now. Let's hand it back to Catherine.
All right, it is a Friday. How about this one? Kylie Minogue, Can't Get You Out of My Head, and then we'll be back in just a moment.
Boy, your love and it's all I think about. I just can't get you out of my
All right, welcome back, everybody. It is time to go over our text topic real quick, and then we're going to get into our special interview. So today it was all about, are you a morning kind of person for showers, or do you take your showers at night? And while you're taking your shower, do you kind of let your imagination run wild? And I think there was like a misunderstanding. Imagination run wild does not mean like how should I say, adult things or anything like that. It just means basically, does your mind wander? Do you think about other things as you're showering? Or are you the type that just gets in, out, shower, you're like, shampooing or like, body wash, and you're in and out is the point of the text topic. So some of your responses, let's see. 조현철 Waver says, 저는 샤워할 때 따시다 하고 아무 생각 없어요. So he says, when I'm taking a shower, all I'm thinking is, the water is so warm. That's a good one. I think simple is good sometimes. June Park Waver says, 저녁엔 몸만, 아침에는 머리까지. Oh, so they say, he or she, I'm not quite sure, they say, at night, I only wash my body, and in the morning, the whole entire body, including the hair. So, twice a day. Very squeaky clean. Hisuk Waver says, good morning. I just rinse myself with water. I usually wash my hair in the morning and take a shower at night. Oh, so there's a lot of variations there with how you are taking your showers. Very interesting. Everybody has a different method or pattern or routine. All right. I'll be back in just a moment with our special interview. So you have all heard about Fubao, right? In Korea, he's called Fubao. Oh, the beloved panda. Currently in quarantine, preparing for her journey back to China next month. And, almost 2 weeks have passed since her last public viewing. That was on March 3rd, by the way. And yet this so-called Fubao syndrome is still going strong as the public comes to really accept the reality that, she is leaving. There's a mixed bag of emotions, some even going as far as to shedding tears. I was a little surprised about that. What exactly is it about Fubao that is conjuring up such intense reactions or sometimes even emotions? So to find out more about this, we have invited Dr. Makenzie O'Neill. She's an assistant professor in the psychology department at St. Mary's College of California. So let's welcome her to our program. Hi, thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Yes. So I have to say that Fubao here in Korea is like kind of became a national icon, even though we knew eventually she would have to return to China. And local experts have attributed her popularity to, I believe it's called like the baby, is it schema effect, pointing to her, I guess, kind of quote unquote, like her cuteness as a huge factor. But can you explain what this is, and if it does actually connect, does it parlay over into her popularity?
Absolutely. So the baby schema refers to a set of physical and behavioral characteristics that typically signal youth or being baby-like to others. These characteristics physically refer to having kind of big eyes, a higher forehead, a small nose and mouth, short, stubby limbs. And on the behavioral side, and this is where I think perhaps Fubao may be more relevant, is it includes a lot of clumsiness and kind of not having good control over bodily movement. And for those of us that have observed Fubao or any real panda's behavior, we can probably speak to that clumsiness where we'll see them kind of playing and tripping or like falling out of a tree seemingly for no reason. That really looks very similar to like a human baby learning a new skill, like learning how to walk and struggling through that. And it's very appealing and fun and enjoyable for us to kind of watch that sort of thing happen. And so I think there is a lot of overlap to this baby schema and cuteness, and maybe why we're seeing so much popularity with Fubao.
I see. So it does make sense because, like, when you mentioned her clumsiness, I mean, that really conjures up really lots of footage that I've even watched over and over again. Like like when she's rolling down a hill, or like she's really clumsy trying to get her bamboo and whatnot. So I fully get it. But if you can give us more of a scientific look, into what is happening in our brains according to this whole baby schema effect, and is there any way, also follow-up question on how we can kind of, is there any way to, I guess, get some positivity? Is it positive, the benefits of being attracted to cuteness, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of for the first part of that question, the baby schema effect, if you will, is really associated with activating what we call an approach motivation. And so we can see this in a lot of different kind of biological mechanisms. So visually, people will unconsciously look at cute things more than not cute things. Our autonomic nervous system, which is responsible for things like our heart rate and our breathing, that becomes more alert, but without activating our fight or flight response, which is kind of interesting. And so people are paying attention, they're focused, they're energized, but they're not stressed, which is kind of a cool effect, absolutely. If we think more neurologically, cuteness, the baby schema, activates the reward circuit in our brain. So it literally feels like we're getting a treat when we look at cuteness. And then even hormonally, the baby schema is linked with activation of the hormone of oxytocin getting released. And oxytocin does all sorts of great things for us. One of the things it does is lead us toward more social connection with other people, and has actual positive health effects. So when we have more oxytocin release, we see these positive effects on our health. So they're actually kind of getting to the second part of your question. There is evidence, that looking at cute stuff activates, it's not just pleasurable in the reward center of our brain, but it may actually also be beneficial in other aspects of our health as well.
I mean, that's actually fascinating the way you're putting it, Dr. O'Neill, because overall, I've always thought Fubao or, other like puppies or, kittens, or they're real cute, but to actually hear about oxytocin and all of these actual physical things that might be happening as we're looking at cute images, it's really, really interesting. And this cuteness, isn't just an evolutionary characteristic that might have endured for our pleasure. So why might cuteness matter in the grand scheme of life? Because some people might, maybe some people aren't attracted to cuteness, but I am personally. I love looking at, any type of footage or clips or shorts regarding animals or, kittens or whatever is popping up on my feed that day.
I love that you kind of brought up the idea of cuteness as an evolved characteristic, because we do see that it does produce pleasure for us in that kind of reward center of the brain. But kind of evolutionarily, one of the main things that cuteness does is it makes others want to take care of us. So cuteness really seems to have evolved as a characteristic for promoting caregiving. And even if you think about when we are actually babies, we do not take care of ourselves. We really rely on adults to care for us. And I'm sure as any parent that has a baby can attest, it's very hard to take care of a baby. And yet it feels good. It feels really nice to be around cuteness, to be around babies. And so kind of one thing that some evolutionary researchers have suggested is that cuteness elicits these positive emotions, perhaps to buffer against the hard work of caregiving, so that it still feels good even when it's hard. And what I actually think is really interesting about this is that this characteristic goes beyond just that baby-parent relationship. So it may have evolved for that reason, and yet we see it across species even. So we see animals caring for babies of other species. We humans, we love to take care of cute animals.
Yes.
And it evolved for one reason, yet we're seeing it for these other reasons as well.
Yes, yes. And some researchers connect this phenomenon with financial status as well, theorizing that we might be drawn to, I guess, like miniature versions of, I guess, items or things that we can't necessarily afford, or maybe even having like a doll version or an animal version of something that we can't really have in reality. What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very interesting. And I mean, perhaps what's happening is that people are drawn to these items as kind of a stand-in for the thing they can't have. So that the miniature item is giving them a variation on the feeling that the real thing would provide. So if it's something we can't afford, like maybe you're buying a miniature luxury car because you can't afford the real thing, that like mini car might give you the same feeling that you would get, but a kind of a watered down version of it. And so like with cute things, you know, we might go buy like a cute little stuffed animal or kind of a tiny version of something almost as a stand-in. So we're kind of getting that same positive feeling that the real thing would give us, even if it's not quite as good as the feeling the real thing would give us. But I do think it's interesting, kind of whatever it is people care about this. I mean, I was in Japan this summer and I walked down Tokyo's Harajuku's Takashita Street.
Yes.
And it's basically an entire street dedicated to celebrating cuteness. So if we look cross-culturally or in advertising or in the videos on YouTube or even Fubao's success, this like fascination and care about celebrating cute things is kind of a growing global phenomenon for sure.
Well, are there any potential like downsides or negative effects associated with people who might become, I guess, too into, like so fascinated in cuteness and maybe, you know, to the point where they're getting, you know, a bit of a ways from reality?
Yeah, I think this is actually something that I've started investigating in my own research over the last year or so. So one aspect of this, I think, like I said, if it's the replacement of a feeling, you know, you get the cute little animal as a replacement of this larger feeling, it isn't going to be as satisfying as engaging with the real thing. And so if we get kind of too obsessed with it, then that could kind of have some downsides and that you're not really engaging with the real authentic experience that you're craving. But even the kind of experience of those positive feelings with cuteness, it's not just about promoting caregiving, it's also about promoting protection. So when you see something cute, you want to keep that thing safe. You want to protect it, which seems like a very positive thing, but it may lead you to like being overly cautious around people or seeing danger or threats when they're not really there. And this is something I've collected data on recently, actually, where people who had just seen a bunch of cute baby animals, they perceived an uncertain situation more negatively. So they were feeling very positive and they were wanting to care for this baby animal, and yet they're viewing another situation more negatively than other people. So there's this kind of juxtaposition there where it's a positive feeling and yet maybe you're seeing the world more negatively.
Oh, very interesting. For our final question for you today, Dr. O'Neill, you know, especially with Fubao, there is this fervor around Fubao, even though she's leaving. And even with her caretaker, Kang Chol-won, they often refer to him as like a grandpa or Kang Bao. And he even said that like some people would visit the panda exhibit maybe like even 5 to 6 times a week, almost on a daily basis, to kind of clear their minds or even to kind of like de-stress or get some sort of like healing or wellness from it. Do you think that is, I mean, that's his personal opinion, but do you think that's actually, it could be true for people that just getting out and viewing something that makes them feel good, that it can be of benefit overall to people?
Yeah, I think that's such a fascinating anecdote to hear about. And I do kind of think that it goes in line with what some research has said, even some of those particular biological changes with like oxytocin and approach motivation, that actually kind of falls in line with that. There's also some research that demonstrates that when you're observing something very cute, but it doesn't have any immediate need, so it's not upset, it's not in danger, that this elicits a very positive but passive feeling. So that idea of it being almost calming kind of fits with that. So I would say yes, if you're feeling that cuteness is helping you find a peace of mind, that is excellent. In addition, kind of finding ways to find gratitude and social connection in your daily life are two of kind of the best things you can do. But if seeing cute things, engaging with that is bringing you peace, there's certainly some research that is supportive of that idea.
I see. Well, thank you so much for delving into cuteness with us. We do appreciate it, Dr. O'Neill.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely. Once again, everybody, this was our special interview with Dr. Makenzie O'Neill. And we talked about Fubao, of course, in detail, but generally speaking also with just the psychology of cuteness. So that was our special interview. Very fascinating to hear that there are physical effects that we can benefit from when we have, I guess, like a moderate dose of cuteness. And we don't want to get obsessed, right? But yes, if it's going to help us, take our mind off something or just help us to unwind a little, why not? A little bit of cuteness in our daily lives. All right, we're going to take a short song break. So here it is. This is Happy Talk, and this is by Claudine Langer.
Happy talk, keep talking, happy talk. Talk about things you'd like to do. You've got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, how you gonna have a dream come true? Talk about the moon floating in the sky, looking like a lily on a lake. Talk about a bird learning how to fly, making all the music he can make. Happy talk, keep talking, happy talk. Talk about things you'd like to do. You've got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, how you gonna have a dream come true? Your turn. Talk about a star looking like a toy, peeking through the branches of a tree. Talk about a girl, talk about a boy, counting all the ripples on the sea. Hey, that's nice. Happy talk, keep talking, happy talk. Talk about things you'd like to do. You've got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, how you gonna have a dream come true? Happy talk, keep talking, happy talk. Talk about things you'd like to do. You've got to have a dream. If you don't have a dream, how you gonna have a dream? How you gonna have a dream come true? I had a dream. You
You're now listening to the world's most reliable morning show, Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Text in to BEFM # 9050 for 101. You can also reach us for free through our YouTube live stream or on Kakao Talk. Begin your morning with Catherine, and don't forget to reboot your day after lunch. Stay tuned for Steve Hatherley Reboot every day from 2 to 4 p.m.
It is time for our final segment for today, for the entire week. The creme de la creme. We have Laura.
Woohoo!
For newsfeed in the house.
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking.
Lovely shade of green.
Happy. Yeah, I thought I'm going to get the spring in my step. Because we're definitely moving into spring. It was White Day yesterday. And it was my birthday 2 days ago.
Really?
So I'm taking this chance to
Happy
pionere.
belated birthday.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yes.
I've entered a new decade. Finally 30.
Oh, gosh. I was going to say, you're not 20, are you?
No, finally. I've turned
Finally 30. Oh, finally.
Yeah.
I get it. I get
I'm
it.
springing with the spring or something like that.
Hey, text
happy
topic.
White Day. Text topic. Go.
Showering. Taking a shower.
Ooh, yes.
Are you a morning shower kind of girl? Or do you take showers at night, in between? And what do you think about while you're showering? Because, like, with the way we phrased it, we wrote, does your imagination run wild? And some people were like, ew. We don't mean anything like that. Nothing racy. We just mean, like, does your mind wander while you shower? Or are you, like, really, really looking at all the skin cells that you're scraping off?
So sometimes, like, I have some products that are named quite funny. So they have name titles. You probably know where they're from. So one of them is called, like, Good Karma, or one of them is called Honey, I Wash the Kids.
Yes.
And so I look at these, and sometimes this morning, for example, I was singing in the shower, I don't need some good karma, I need some great karma. Everybody needs great karma, or something along the lines. But sometimes I get some really good ideas. And you know when someone says, oh, I was thinking about you in the shower.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, gross.
No,
But it's
not like that.
It's like you're thinking about an idea. Sometimes I replay disagreements and I'm like, oh, I should have said this. So I'll have this conversation in the shower.
With yourself.
What do you know? What do you know about it? So I don't know, but I like a morning shower. And then if I've had a long day, like, especially if I've had an event, I'll come home, clothes come off, and I'm straight in the shower and, you know, get all that makeup off,
The gunk off,
hairspray
yes.
off, you know, all of that sweat.
Your hard work.
So showering anytime.
All right. Well, what are we talking about for newsfeed today?
Okay,
What's the theme today?
So today, again, I'm going to keep bringing you some good news because it is a Friday. I don't want to end on a negative note.
Right.
And I've got 3 lovely stories here. I know we've not got that much time, so I'll just touch upon all 3 of them. The first one. Now, Kat, as we know, global warming, climate change, the oceans rising, and all of those things. These are very, very prominent issues in the world today. However, there is some good news.
Oh, we need some.
We need some good news. So there have been some artificial coral reefs planted or started.
Yes.
Transplanted, you would say. And scientists have observed that these artificially restored coral reefs, specifically in Indonesia, they can regrow to match the pace of natural reefs within just 4 years post-transplantation.
Ooh, so they're working.
They're working.
That's good. That's really good news.
They're working. So the really, really good news is they're working and they're pretty rapid growing, which means, I mean, they're using all the scientific measurements. They're checking out the carbonate budget. So I'm not a scientist or a marine biologist.
Carbonate budget.
I'm not entirely sure what that means, but basically, in simple terms, they're looking at the regrowth and they're comparing it to the growth of these natural, healthy, flourishing coral reefs.
Yes.
And they found that they are regrowing and they are, returning the state of these, artificial reefs to somewhat of a natural type for the ocean, which is very important.
Yes.
Something that they didn't, they weren't able to do yet, and again, this is yet, the species that are attracted to these reefs.
Yes.
Of course, coral reefs are, they house these ecosystems
Right,
that are
they're
just
homes
so
for creatures.
Right. And so essential to keep the levels of the sea low, to keep the temperatures, like coral reefs grow in quite warm temperatures. And so to maintain temperature, to maintain pH balance, all of these very, very delicate things. But they haven't managed to attract the same kind of diversity in species because they're artificial.
They're not real.
They're not real. But, however, they've still got some back.
Yes.
So that's definitely steps forward. But they use something called reef stars.
Reef stars.
I love that.
Oh, what's that?
Reef stars. It's not like ninja stars.
What are reef stars?
But it's basically recycled metal scaffolds that they anchor to the ground. And these basically reef stars, they support the growth of these coral larvae. And I never think of coral as being alive, but when you say coral larvae, it kind of is creepy. But they rebuild these structures, and these structures had been destroyed by dynamite fishing. Can you believe that? Dynamite fishing. Fishermen dropping dynamite into the ocean to kill all the fish so that they can scoop up the fish. But of course, that destroys everything else on the seafloor.
Everything.
Ridiculous.
I mean, when you think about it in the long term, it's bad for the fishermen too.
Absolutely.
Because like they're depleting, the fish. And their environment.
Absolutely. So the MSC, which is the Marine Stewardship Council, they are all over the world. We have a branch here in Korea, and they are going around educating people on the importance of sustainable seafood. Which is really important for fishing practices. So we want to stop these kind of really bad fishing practices.
We do.
Naughty. But
Well,
anyway.
the good news is the artificial coral reefs are working.
They're working.
Not 100%, but better than nothing.
Better than nothing. And
Yes.
human intervention is working. It's not perfect.
I know, but
it's-
we created the problem, so we need to be a part of the solution, do we
fix
not?
it. We have
Yes.
to fix it, absolutely.
All right, next one.
Next one. Okay, I'm going to go to my last story.
Oh, you are? Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm going to go
Okay.
to this one because
You
if I don't
lied.
have time,
Okay.
then I can cut the other one.
Okay.
I love this one. So maybe you've heard of the term neurodiversity.
What is neurodiversity?
So
Explain.
neurodiversity, it's very simple. It basically describes people who are not neurotypical, which would be people who are blessed with a difference of learning. So for example, people might have ADHD. That would be someone who is considered neurodiverse. So just a different way of thinking, a different way of seeing the world.
Autism spectrum.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So things like autism, things like ADHD, that would be considered as part of a neurodiverse population.
That's the word for it. Okay.
So,
yes.
in Lima, which is
Peru.
in Peru, yes, there is a coalition called the CNP, the Peruvian Neurodivergent Coalition. And they have created something called the Neurodiverse Picnic Movement.
What is this?
It's so smart. I love it, and I want to go.
Okay.
It's a safe space. It's a picnic, but it's for people who have things like bipolar disorder. Now, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder when I was 21.
Oh.
So apparently I'm neurodiverse. But I think everyone's neurodiverse, actually.
In a way, yes.
Everyone's something, right? Everyone's
Yes.
on the spectrum. But this provides a very safe space for people who have conditions like bipolar disorder, ADHD, autism, etc., which not only gives them a place to socialize, but it's also helping to promote policy change to protect people and to bring human rights up for people who are on varying ends of the spectrum, who have perhaps in different areas of the world not been treated fairly, equally, or given the same opportunities and rights as neurotypical people would have.
Right.
So basically what happens is you go along to a picnic.
Okay.
You get your backpack on. You got all your food, you got all your stuff, and the organisers also organise some things.
Yes.
And there's a tape system.
A tape system?
So there's red tape and green tape.
Okay.
And these are called social battery indicators. So, okay, let me ask you this. Have you ever been to a party and you left the party and you're like, wow, that was so fun. I feel so happy. And then you've been to a different party and you're like, wow, that was exhausting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So your social battery has either been charged by your interactions or it's been drained. By your interactions.
We don't like those drainers. Yeah.
Energy vampires.
Yeah.
Right? But this is fantastic. So what happens is people get a piece of tape, stick it to their forehead.
Sure.
Just kidding. They stick it to their clothes or their bag. And the red tape means they don't want to be approached, but they're just there for company. But they don't want to be approached. They don't want to make eye contact, etc.
Yes.
People with green tape, however, are willing to socialize. They're willing to have conversations. They're willing to chit chats and be approached and things like that. And this is really important. It was formed by 5 neurodivergent women in 2023, and basically they want people to feel accepted, and anybody who wants to go along and just sit down, not make eye contact, not have a conversation, leave whenever they want, they're welcome to come and do that, because we're social creatures. We still want to have company, but perhaps company is very uncomfortable.
Maybe you don't want the full experience.
Exactly.
You just want a little tidbit.
Yeah. And social interactions are hard.
Yeah.
They're pretty tiring. And so for someone who is on the spectrum, it can be very overwhelming. It can be just too much. So this is a beautiful space. And there's a great movement happening now. They're also challenging governmental policy. They're doing lots of different things. And the CNP wants to make a neurodivergent house next. So they can open up a space for people who are fleeing violence or people who, I don't know, workshops, education workshops, people who just need to be with other people who understand them.
Right.
Which is very important.
And like it sounds like such a safe like haven, as you say, because sometimes you want to be around people, but not like really, really like socially interacting to the point where it's like it's becoming cumbersome.
Yeah.
Where it's like a chore, where it's just really literally draining and sucking all the energy away from you, right?
Yeah.
You want to be around with people, but just kind of seen, maybe in the same vicinity, but not necessarily like interacting to the point where it's making you uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. So the red tape, green tape thing, I love it.
Yes.
And people who have red tape can choose whether they want to chat or not. And,
I like.
So that's
Well, we're going to call it a wrap and end on that happy note.
I love
so
it.
thank you for bringing us 2 really great stories for our listeners kind of to chew on, to think about as we head into not quite the weekend. We're almost there though, right?
We're at the weekend. It's already the weekend. Put your pens down. It's time to play.
Put your pants down.
Pens.
Oh, pens.
Pens.
I heard pants. I'm like, Laura.
Okay, so
it's
what
not that
do
kind of
you
show.
think about in the shower, Kat?
Something not so. Okay. Well, we're going to call it a wrap. We'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
All right. Well, it is now time to wrap things up for this entire weekend. Yes, I see your well wishes for our producer. She'll be back Monday. Fingers crossed. I love multitasking. It's a little stressful, but it's okay. Stress is good, right? A certain amount. Let's end it on this song, Lighthouse by Kelly Clarkson. Have a wonderful weekend and join me on Monday. Bye, guys.
I need a do-over. How did we end up this way? I'm so confused, lover. Did I mistake love and pain? Ain't got no shine left. I couldn't hide it. I almost lost all my light, and I didn't choose sober, but my eyes can't look away. I see our true colors. Lately we've been looking gray. I can't turn back now, 'cause you take me back down that road that always seems to come right back around. Remember when we had dreams to fly away, but that was then. Now our story's just a page. Like a wave, you're always crashing into me, crashing into me. And these days are harder than they used to be, and they used to be. No shooting stars can fix what we are. And what good's a lighthouse when the light is burning out? It's such a shame when your wants and needs, they don't align. Which road to take, 'cause your hand's no longer holding mine. I guess that's life, and sometimes you fight, and sometimes you walk away in order to survive. Remember when there was nowhere to throw blame? I was in
befm 부산영어방송.
가성비 좋은 간식 맛집 찾으세요. 맛있는 간식, 색다른 간식, 슈림프 스낵 랩 주세요. 맛있게 먹고 부담도 없는 가성비 간식 맛집은 에피스낵. 맥도날드에서